Hello, folks, and welcome back to another Massachusetts Central Radio Show. I'm your humble host, Mike Mo, here for another one. Today is April 14th, 2021. This day is significant, not only because it's, well, the middle of April, not because it's the middle of April, the middle of the spring month, well, the first full month of spring, or near it. Alright. Also, my friend Tom Gilkey's birthday is also in 10 days, which is going to be fun. But today is the 109th anniversary of the. Yeah, today is the 109th anniversary of the Titanic sinking. So it is 11:55 right now. I thought I would do it right now. I should have done this at 11:40, but it was 10. But this was over. But over. But over 56. But over 16 minutes ago, back in this day on 1912. I believe it was a Tuesday, so it's Wednesday, so the anniversary. I don't know when it's gonna go on the real anniversary, but I believe it was Tuesday, April 14th, 1912. For those of you who know it, the Titanic anniversary was the one where they lost 1,500 passengers when it struck an iceberg. All my heart goes out to all the souls and all the people that perished on that voyage. All 1,500. There were many wealthy people. John Jacob Astor, he died in the wreck. Thomas Andrews, the designer, went down with the ship. The captain, E.J. Smith, who was on his final voyage, he died. Bruce Ismay, who was an idiot and a selfish prick in that regard, actually got on a lifeboat and actually saved himself. He should have gone down with the ship, but anyway. So yeah, so this time, so at this time, the boat started taking on water because it hit the star at this hour. The boat started to take on water in the front compartments. The waterhead bulkheads were not, as you guys know from the stories, the waterhead bulkheads were not strong enough, and there was also suggestion that there was a coal fire that may have actually caused it. There's actually evidence that the coal fire earlier in the voyage actually hurt the riveting and the plates, and it weakened it didn't burn the iron, but it made it very brittle, and that's the reason why it was able to crack open like an egg like it did. The side of the iceberg had this little bump in it, like this big, and that scraped up against the side of the ship. And what it did was it was actually right between the plates. The rivets were right here. Say this is the plate. There's rivets here, and there's rivets down here. The iceberg hit right between the plate, and it punched it in, and those rivets came out. And those rivets could only take so much force. When you have an iceberg that's literally hundreds of thousands of pounds of solid ice just sitting there in the water, and the iceberg, a lot of people were like, "Oh, why would the iceberg affect it if it was the top?" What happened was is the bottom portion, the bottom portion that was shaped like this, was below the water line, and as I said, what it did is it like a fist. It punched. It had this effect. It basically, what it did was it basically did this, and it crushed the rivets, and it did that every single time. So it was going in there, and it was just crumbling the plates, and that includes the section that they now agree got hit by the berg. It's also at this time, now that it's 56 It's about 12. It's about 12:01 right now. Yeah, I'm burning midnight oil, and I have work in like 7 hours, 8 hours actually. We'll have to get up in 7 hours, 7.5 hours, but I plan to get up at 7 so I can get up on time. Because today, I actually did not have any Ubers. I actually got an Uber at like 9:30. 9:30. The Uber took forever to get to. The Uber took forever, and unbeknownst to me, while I got it at 9:35, the Uber completed a trip elsewhere, and I think about 9:35, canceled the trip. He canceled the trip because he didn't know where the hell I was. So I actually had to leg it up today. So I had to spend half an hour legging it up to my job, which was fun. So yeah, I got. It takes about half an hour to. It takes about half an hour. It takes about 25 minutes to get to the job. So I legged it. I live very close. The industrial park I work at is very close. So yeah, I legged it. I got there in about. I got there in about 20 minutes. I actually. I actually got there in about 20 minutes. I actually punched in at like 20 minutes, but then I had to take 5 minutes to walk, breathe. So by the time I got to the time clock, it was 10. So I just got in today by the hear of my chinny chin chin. So, yeah, it's good. It's good that stuff happens, but you have to be prepared. So, but but back to the story. So at 12 o'clock midnight, I'm pretty sure they started loading the lifeboats, and um, well, when 12:20 hit, when 12 o'clock hit, I'm pretty sure that took the bell was the clock was ticking for the Titanic. In that time, they radioed a bunch of ships. I'm pretty sure the Californian, which was in the distance, shut down its wireless. It should have kept it open. Stanley Lord, the guy who ran the Californian, was later charged, I believe, with neglect or refusing to actually take a wireless call. And I think it's because the wireless transmitter, the wireless guy, or the wireless operator in the Californian was kind of perturbed by a message that Hal Bride and Bride and Phillips actually, yeah, Hal Bride and John Phillips actually sent, um, and I think it was something along the lines like, yeah, we have ice warning. I'm like, yeah, I'm inundated with messages. I've heard about the ice all day long. Can you not do this? And I think what happened is he kind of tuned his radio on, and yeah, he tuned his radio on, and he for a little bit, and then he turned it off. The Carpathia was actually the only one to to actually receive the distress call and actually answer it, but they said we'll be a few hours out, and and I think I'll have to look this up, but I believe the Carpathia. No internet connection, please. I need this. By the way, the Red Sox won again, so good stuff. Titanic timeline. All right, so it began April 10th, and then 12th and 13th. The timeline. They sailed through calm waters and all this stuff. So the design for the Titanic was approved in 1908. For those of you who don't know, it was 1908. The keel was laid in 1909, and then the hull was successfully launched in 1911. 16 wooden lifeboats, the ones that would be content would be fittings for the Titanic. Began at sea trials 1912 of April 2nd, and the 10th the passengers arrived and they set sail at noon. It reached Queensland the day later, Queensland Island. Picked up some immigrants there. And then, it went to Cherbourg, France at 10 the same day during the afternoon. And then 11 a.m. they reached Queensland Island and brought on a bunch of, steerage and third class. 7 iceberg warnings. Frederick's fleet spotted. It was at 11:40. It was 11:40 that the iceberg struck the starboard bow. I said with that plate. 14 feet of water rose to the front part. The water poured in and risen to 14 feet, and I'm 5'7", so that's just stack 5, 10, 15. So it's stacked 5'7", about 6 foot. So yeah, stack about 2.5 of me, and you'll get 4. Stick 2.5 of me, and you get 14, and you'll get about 14 feet. Stack me 2.5 times, and you'll get 14 feet. Because I'm 5'7", by the way, for those of you who want to know. 12 a.m. lifeboats. Was told the ship could only stay for a couple of hours. He gave the call, and then he also gave 12:05. We've already passed that. We actually just launched into that because it's 12 because I started this 10 minutes ago. So around this time, they started to prepare the lifeboats, and they estimated that they have 2,227, even though they had 2,400 on board. The lifeboats began to go in half an hour later, and for those of you who know, that was the race to and about half an hour later, the lifeboats were loaded. The Carpathia, southeast of the Titanic, was about 58 miles away. Picked up the distress signal and began sailing towards to rescue the passengers. It would take into the next morning for them to get there. I forget how many hours. I think they said 3-4 hours. They thought that the ship had 4 hours, even though all of us know it didn't. The first lifeboat didn't get set down until 12:45. So they uncovered the lifeboats, and it took them 40 minutes to uncover the lifeboats. It wasn't very fast, but they wanted to do it in an orderly fashion. 2:05. 2:05. There was still 1,500 people on board. The deck was even see, but although it did list in some 12:17. This was in the morning of, this is 14 minutes later because I started this at 11:55. So this is 4 minutes later. So about 12:10. So about 12:10 right now, they were still trying to estimate and covering the lifeboats and everything else. and then women and children half and like 10 minutes later from because it's about 15 minutes. Yeah, so 12:10. So it's about 12:10 right now. So it would take them another. So it would take them another 20 minutes from now to do that, and at this point, Thomas Andrews told Bruce Ismay, how many hours does she have to live? How long is it going to take? And I believe the grim reality is he said, well, the bulkheads weren't completely covered. So what ended up happening is the water was spilling over, and he said they will spill over to the next and the next and the next, and it'll eventually sink. The reason why the doors were failed in the first place is because, well, there was a big hole. Well, because there was a hole the size of, I forget how long the gash was, but it was. And then 12:20, the stern broke off, and then 3:30. This was now, if you can remember, the Carpathia was called at 12 was radioed at 12:25 and said they were on their way. At 12:20, the stern broke off. Slowly filled with water and raising it, sinking into the sea. So that was it. 12:20, Titanic was completely underwater. So about 10 minutes from now in this vlog, about 10 minutes from now while I'm shooting this, Titanic actually sank. 3:30. I'm not going to stay up till 3:30, but 3:30 a.m. the rockets were spotted by the survivors. Carpathia. The Carpathia picked up the first lifeboat at 4:10. Almost 3 and almost 3.5 hours after. About 40 minutes after those rockets were spotted. The Carpathia picked up the first. They loaded up, and then they made sure everybody was on board. And then it took 3 days, obviously, to. It took them 3 days to sail. They didn't come into New York until 9 p.m. That was the 18th. So. So of course, and it really, for those of you who grew up in the 90s like I did, I watched Titanic as a young kid. Yeah, I was a little impressionable kid, and I didn't know what was going on half the time. All I knew was the Titanic was a big ship, and I was interested in it. I kind of, my parents had to proof watch it back then just to make sure nothing bad was going to happen. There was some gun violence and stuff like that, but my father's like, there's nothing that these kids aren't going to see in the rest of their lives. Of course I saw, of course in the movie I saw Leo and Kate Winslet, in the back of the car, bang each other in the back of the car. It just was a sad and tragic moment, and a lot of people didn't understand that the lifeboats were not full to the brim, and they could hold they could hold a couple hundred people. I forget how many that I think they could hold. How many could the lifeboats hold? I think Thomas Andrews said one of them in the movie, and I think it was a real quote, that there was 12. How many passengers could the Titanic lifeboats hold? it could. Okay, so it was 20 per boat, 20 boats, and it could carry only 1,170 people, so almost half the ship. Um, and 18 lifeboats were used because two of the collapsibles. Um, because both collapsible boats, they were the ones stuck up on the dinghies. Um, so yeah, so there were yeah, so they could yeah, so they unloaded, so they load those between 11:45 a.m. and 12:15 a.m. and the convert and of course the submerged boats. Um, and I think lifeboats 4 and 14 did that. Carpetti did not reach the lifeboats until 4 a.m. 1 hour and 40 minutes after the Titanic sank. They collected the last lifeboats. You guys know that. Yeah, the training was bad, and people really weren't. Yeah, so there were 20 lifeboats, and they wanted. So there were 20 lifeboats, um, and stuff like that. There were 20 lifeboats, and there was a capacity of 1,078 divided by 20. Um, it it says that of the 20 lifeboats, 58.9 people could have survived, but it was, and Titanic had a maximum of 3,587 people, but they didn't have that. Um, most of those people who died were mostly steerage class and people who people who were below deck, people who couldn't get through the gates because they inadvertently locked the third class passengers down the gates because they didn't want them coming up. They wanted to serve the first, which I think was horrible. And they would allow women and children through, but there was people who there were people who tried to take advantage of this and tried to get through. Unfortunately, some of them I believe were shot. So or and and it was terrible that a lot of those people died. So and it was nasty that they had to die like that. And Bruce Ismay for not going down with the ship was also another tragedy. My soul, my thoughts and prayers go out to the souls, and also to the families that also the families of the survivors, because people did actually survive. So of the many people that actually got off on the lifeboats and actually survived at the end, those people lived. I believe the last survivor died at 90. I believe died at the age of 97. I guess from pneumonia. I guess, but all my thoughts and prayers go out to those relatives who actually got a chance to, for those relatives who do not have a loved one, who are lost a loved one on the ship because of some errors. A lot of people blame the coal fire. A lot of people blame the speed that Smith did. Bruce Ismay Bruce Ismay trying to race everybody when he should have been bringing it to New York. It should have been. And a lot of people think that when he fired up the boilers, the extra boilers, um, when he when he picked up the boiler speed, when he picked up everything, a lot of people think that he was a little on the greedy side. I think even Captain Smith told him. I think Edward Smith told him, no, no, don't push the ship on its maiden voyage. And Smith was like, no, it's a maiden voyage, don't push him. And he goes, and Ismay was like, no, I can't lose this bet. What they should have done is they should have done it they should have done a cross country. They should have done the first maiden voyage, broken everything in, and they should have, and then eventually they should have set up. If they wanted to do a speed race, they should have, they should have, they should have, they should have done it when they had proper training, and they should have. That is the reason why on every cruise ship or every steamship now, you actually have to go through a whole procedure. I remember going on the cruise ship in '09. We had to go through a whole procedure. We had to put life vests on. We actually didn't have to go into the lifeboat itself. Actually, they did lower one and actually showed us. They said, okay, if you do this, you can survive a couple of days in there. Do your food, water rations, and everything. They marked the charts a little bit better. They knew the ice fields. They actually made it mandatory for wireless operators to have more than one shift. Because I'm pretty sure if I'm not mistaken, Stanley Lord, the guy who actually piloted the Californian, he was the captain. Stanley Lord will give it to me. Yeah, Stanley Lord. That's this guy. That's this guy right here. It's that dude right there. He's a really crazy looking dude. So he's the SS Californian. He was the nearest, Stanley Philip Lord. He was the nearest to all of those people. So they fired the rockets, and Lord and the Californian ignored it. They were 20 miles away. They could have actually picked them up. They were 20 miles away. They had two official inquiries. Lord was he did not get charged, unfortunately, because he was like, they defended him, and some people defend him, other people criticized him. There were also mystery ships, by the way. There was also two ships actually. So there were two smaller ships surrounding. What should have happened is they all should have pitched in. The Carpathia, which unfortunately which got busted up for scrap metal. Great ship. He was married for 50 years. Yeah, and they will say, and they go on to say that he was guilty under the merchants. There was a lot of stuff going on with him, and he lived on to be 90. The miserable guy. The miserable guy went on to live to 84. So I'm. 6 decks. The reason why is because his capacity the capacity was 102 passengers and stuff like that. It was a small ship. It wasn't big by any means, but he could have helped the two other ships. But obviously, the Carpathia, um, which was a Cunard line, thanks to the Cunard line, they actually did something. It, it was actually a British ship. Actually, Swan Hunter and Wycombe Richardson actually did it. And Wallsend, England, well, exactly where that was. It remained in service for, well, thank God the Carpathia. It was torpedoed over Ireland by a German U-boat, and it was scrapped. So it was like the Lusitania. It was either, yeah, it carried half of the yeah, so it started out as 1,704, but it carried 2,550. So they were actually able to carry the passengers and actually help them out. Most of the place was third class, so that did actually fit them a little bit better. As I said, it was brilliant ship, and that's a picture of the rescue ship right there. For those of you who don't know, that's the Carpathia. A fellow which is why the Cunard line is still around today. 1840, 181 years ago. And I believe White Star Line. Cunard would take them over, and they were defunct in 1934. That was right before around Ismay's death. Cunard White Star Line, and that was defunct in 1949. Cunard still exists. So Cunard basically absorbed White Star Line. Soon as 87 years ago, soon as that went defunct, they picked it up, and then eventually became the Cunard line. And the Cunard line is still around today, and they still do everything. So thankfully, the Cunard line still lives. Their good deed make sure they lived great today. And that's the reason why every single cruise ship today actually has very good things, and they should, because they are about 3 times bigger than the Titanic. The Titanic is a little midget. You guys don't believe me? So the Norwegian Dawn capacity. So the Norwegian Dawn can carry around 2,340 people. I know the Titanic can only carry could have only carried the crew. It can carry it can carry 2,340 people, but it can also carry an additional 1,000 crews. So for a grand total of 3,304. 3,300 and 3,372 people, and it's from Nassau, Bahamas, and it cost a whopping, but Norwegian. that is the Titanic. That's a cruise ship. That is big. That is very big. Well, actually, there's a better representation. That's the Titanic. That's a cruise boat. That's the Titanic. That's a cruise boat. That thing's huge. So yeah, guys. So yeah, guys. It evolved and everything. People started part. The inquiries and everything made sure that there was better courses. Wireless was also improved. People started using satellite radio transmitters a little while later because they figured the wireless was going to stink, and they didn't use it because it was unreliable. I mean, the wireless on the Titanic broke down, I think, like twice during the voyage, I think. But yeah, my thoughts and prayers go out to all those, and special all to those up in heaven who died on that tragic night, and all those who carry those. For those of you who have family members, knew somebody, um, let your family members rest in peace, and their memories will not be forgotten. Um, and to the soul of Bruce Ismay, who did not go down with this ship burning hell, but Thomas Andrews, I know you're up in the sky, one with E.J. Smith, well, Edward James Smith, Edward John Smith. Bless those two for actually commanding and building the boat and seeing it into its final hours. And yes, if you guys are wondering, I did cry like a baby at the end of the Titanic movie because my heart will go on absolutely ripped me apart. So, and that was 6, 7-year-old me. So, all right, you guys, I'm going to, and I think around right now they started loading the lifeboats, and they started to call they made the distress call, and the Carpathia was coming on its way, and the Californian did. So, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. You guys got a bit of a history lesson. I know this was a long one, but I know I haven't uploaded in the last couple of days. I plan to upload tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, and Sunday and Monday. I want to get back into a new thing because I wanted to start off my new series. So what I plan to do is I plan to talk about history, what I'm doing, what my plans are. I'll talk about cars a little bit. I'll talk about anime a little bit. I'll talk about phones. I'll talk about this. I'll talk about what I think of what's going on in the political world, maybe my experiences watching High Car right now, and all this stuff like that. But I will bid you guys all good night. I'm going to upload this now, so we'll have it. I hope you guys enjoy it. I thought it would be kind of symbolic and do it right now on the 15th, because this is technically when the Titanic entered its final, well, the Titanic entered its final 2 hours of existence, starting right now. So, so everybody, you guys are probably wondering why I don't do a moment of silence for this. It's because, well, just thought I'd do 30 seconds at the end. So, all right, everybody. As you guys know, long live America, God bless America, long live our freedoms and our rights. Pray for the souls out there, bless, especially for the Titanic, the ones we lost to either natural causes, COVID, and all those people out there that have lost loved ones out there. I'm pretty sure a teammate lost a family member, so we'll have to wish and give him my condolences tomorrow when I see him tomorrow. And I also pray for my friends. Let them all stay strong. Let them overcome their obstacles and guide them to light the end of the tunnel, and shine the light, the beacon, to them so that they can find the light in the darkness. So I know that's a Goku quote, but anyway. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. So this is 40 minutes long, but I had to do this one. starting off spring 2020 vlog series. We have a month before the anniversary of this channel. I know I've been slow on vlogs, but I'm willing to start putting all that behind me. I'm probably gonna outline my plans in the vlog tomorrow. I plan to record maybe at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I don't know when. But I'll see you guys later. So this is a long one, but I wanted to get this one started off with a bang. And what better way than to remember the souls of the Titanic and remember the souls of maybe one of the greatest ocean liners that ever sailed the seas, and we lost it too soon. It only got to sail for 5 days. So yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. So, peace.